Ivy Smith, and we are going to be talking about the parts of a flower today. So our agenda for today, we will go over our standards, our objectives, the notes, practice, and then review. So the standards are over here on the board. They say, describe how plants are classified, identify the parts of a flowering plant, and describe the functions of leaves, stems, and roots. And then our objectives are I can statements, and those say to explain how plants are classified based on sex, identify the different parts of a flowering plant, and describe the functions of the differing parts of a flower. Those are also on my slideshow, and we'll refer back to those further on in the presentation. So, to start, what is a flower? By definition, a flowering plant, scientifically known as an angiosperm, is a vascular plant that reproduces by producing flowers and fruits. If you take a look at your note sheet and you flip past the first page, you will see the question that says, what is a flower? Go ahead and fill that out. They use their flowers to attract pollinators and seeds that can ripen into fruit. Flowering plants make up approximately 90% of all plant species. Look up here and give me a thumbs up once you're done writing. So next we'll be talking about the difference between male and female plants. It can be characterized based on their sexual characteristics, but how can we tell the difference? So the first way to decipher between male and female plants is based on size and quantity. Male flower blossoms are often smaller and more numerous than female flowers. Around 3 weeks old is the most common time to discover the sex of the flowering plant. We will now discuss some examples. So a female plant has the ovary and stigma, while a male plant has the anther and the filament. So this is where you will take your notes on the definition between a male and female plant. Once you're done, look up here at the front, please. So what defines a male plant is going to be the anther and the filament. So you can write that right there. So to continue, some plants are specifically only male or female, such as kiwi and ginkgo, but most plants actually have both structures of male and female plants. Common agricultural product examples include corn, cucumbers, squash, as well as many horticulture products such as begonias, roses, and lilies. If you flip your page over, you have 2 questions that say list examples of plants that only have male or female reproductive systems, and then your next question would be list examples of plants that have both. So again, our objectives, the one that we just covered was I can explain how plants are classified based on gender. So now we have mastered that objective. Next, we'll learn how to classify plants based on their sexual reproductive systems. We can now learn how to identify the different parts of a flowering plant. So the first part in your notes is the petal. One of the most commonly known parts of a flower, and the one that most people typically think of when considering a flower choice, is the petals. The petals are used to attract pollinators and protect the flower's reproductive components. So up here, there will be words that will either be bolded or underlined. Those are the words that you need to fill out your notes. And then once you have those 3 words down, you can flip to the chart on the front and label where the petal is. Our second part of the flower is the ovary. In a flower, the ovary assists in developing seeds and ovules. In a female plant, the ovary is the first component of the reproductive system. Once you fill in the notes, you can flip back to the chart and label it there. Our third part of a flower is the stigma. The stigma captures pollen and assists in the fertilization process of a female flowering plant. The stigma rehydrates pollen and helps it to move down the style. So take a look at your next fill in the blanks and answer those accordingly. So next we'll move on to the pistil. The main function of the pistil is to produce seed-bearing fruit. The ovary and the stigma make up the pistil. The pistil is the group of female reproductive parts in a flower. So the 2 previous parts of the flower that we have talked about make up actually what we're talking about now, which is the pistil. Next, we have the anther. The anther produces, stores, and holds male sex cells until they are ready to be transferred. The anther is a part of the male reproductive system in a flower. There's a fill in the blank and then a true or false as well. Next, we have the filament. The function of the filament is to hold up the anther and extend its reach in order for pollinators to be able to access it. This part also allows for the wind to disperse the pollen. So take a look at your notes and fill in the bolded and the underlined portions, and then take a look at your chart on the front and show the filament as number 6 on your chart. that you've done that, give me a thumbs up. Looks like everyone is finished. So the next part that we have is the stamen. The main function of the stamen is to produce pollen grains and house sex cells, which are necessary for reproduction. The stamen is made up of two parts, the anther and the filament. So just like the pistil, the stamen is the group for the male reproductive system because it is made up of the anther and the filament, which are the two parts of the male reproductive system. So fill this blank in and then label the stamen as number 7 on your chart, showing that it is grouping the two male reproductive parts together. Thank you for putting them in the right spot. Okay, so take a look at your neighbor Izzy and see if any of yours match up. And if they don't, then you can fill in based on hers. That way you don't miss them. Everyone got it?
Yep.
Okay. And y'all have filled in your charts?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the next part is the pedicel. And the pedicel is what many would call the stem. The pedicel supports flowers, fruits, transports nutrients and water, and provides structure to the plant. The receptacle connects the stalk to the flower in order to support and provide structure to the plant as a whole. The receptacle can often enlarge depending on the size of the flowering plant and the buds. And our last part of a flowering plant is the sepal. The sepals are modified leaves that form the outer whorl of a flower. So the whorl is the pattern of the leaves and the way that the leaves are shaped around the stem and the flower itself. The sepals are most often the first part of the flower that forms and then develop at the top of the stem and then become a bud. These are used for protection and development of the flower. Is there anything that I need to review or go back that you might have missed? Any parts? Number 8. Review our objectives again. We have explained how plants are classified based on their gender, and now we have identified the different parts of a flowering plant, as well as described the functions of differing parts of a flower. So now we're going to put it into practice. You each have a dry erase marker on your desk, or if you don't, you should have one in pairs. And then I'm going to hand out flowers for y'all to take apart and dissect the flowers and then write out the different parts that you can identify on your desk. I'll walk around and check, answer any questions, and see how y'all are doing. I'm going to pass these out in partners, so y'all can partner up with whoever you're sitting with and take them apart and work together to write out the different parts.
Can we go ahead and do that?
Yes, y'all can start whenever. And I'll
Okay,
walk
so
around
you want
and
a
check in
sequel?
with y'all.
Yes. I'm gonna copy one. I got a question. Was this the same with the ball thing? Because it was at the bottom of my stuff. Yeah. Alright.
That's a larger scale, and this is a lot smaller scale.
Yeah, I only got like 5 seconds.
See, look.
It looks like everyone is done or almost done with dissecting their flower and showing the different parts on their desk or on their paper. Y'all did a great job. It looks like y'all were all able to show the different parts and whatnot. So just to review, what 2 parts make up the male reproductive system in a flower? Can anyone answer that? 1 second. Go ahead.
The anther and filament.
Correct. So what 2 parts make up the female reproductive system in a flower? Go ahead.
The ovary and the stigma.
Correct. Just to review one more time, we have explained how plants are classified based on their gender, identified the different parts of a flowering plant, and described the different functions of parts of a flower. And then our standards, we have completed those, which say we can describe how plants are classified, we have identified the parts of a flowering plant, and we have described the functions of leaves, stems, and roots. So that is all that I have for y'all today.